we are going to begin by looking at our notes. So, we want to talk about books that were published before 1900. So if a book was published before 1900, you may omit the name of the publisher. Perhaps that publisher isn't even around anymore, so you can omit that and use a comma instead of the colon after the place of publication when you're citing it. So you can omit the name of the publisher and use a comma. For example, Phillips John, The American Constitution, Boston, 1899. They didn't put any publication information there, so there is no publication information. All right, but something to be aware of are there are some different letters, and I don't see a marker, but anyways, P with periods between it, so it would be N period, P period. That means no place of publication given. So if there's no publication given, you want to put N period, P period. That's the place of publication. However, there's another N period, P period, exactly the same. And that can also mean no publisher given. So it can either mean no place of publication or it can mean no publisher given.
So that's N period.
N period, P period, yes.
I'm sorry, I missed the second blank of number one and use a blank instead of a colon.
You're going to use a comma. Let me just see if I have a marker because that would be more helpful. You have yellow, I don't know if that.
This is an
Yellow,
example, John.
but
No.
let's see if it works. So that would be N period, P period. So that can be no place of publication or no publisher. Now there's another group of initials, ND. And that means that there's no date given. So no date of the publication is given. That would be ND. And then if no, the pages are not given, so that would be written like this. So that means no pagination is given. Now, before the colon, you want to insert the NP to mean no place. So when it's in the publication information, you will have a colon first and then the NP. And that means no place. But after the colon, like this means no publisher. So this is no place when it's written like this. When the colon's after, that means no publication. That's the way you know the difference between those. So that's important to know where those colons belong. Any questions about that? Okay. And then, as I said, N period, PAG period, that's typed to explain the absence of page references in the citation. If you don't have the exact date of publication, you can do it like this with brackets, say like 1933 with a question mark because you're not sure, and then put quotations around that. So you don't know exactly the year, so you can put it in like that. And then for instance, let's do this one. N period, P period, the Titanic. And then we have 1994. Okay, for this one, the NP is after the NP. So what does that mean right there? Is that no place or no publisher?
No publisher.
Actually, that one is no place.
Oh, no place.
Yeah, no place. Let me see. Is that right? Yes. No place. Because if you put it like that, and then put, let me see, what's the difference? Okay, yeah, this one, New York, we did this one. New York, and then we put the NP, and then we put, the comma, 1993. Okay, so that one means what? Does this mean no place or no publisher?
No publisher.
No publisher, because we already have the place. So this one is, no place, and this one's no publisher. All right, and then if there's no date, you could, put that N period, D period. So, if there was no date, you would put, that in the place where you would normally put the date when you're doing your citation. So just put those initials, N period, D period. And then if there's no page, the pages are usually listed where in your citation? Last. So that's, if you don't know the pages, list that last as well. This would go last as well. All right, and if you want to cite an unpublished dissertation, so maybe someone in the seminary has written a dissertation, but they haven't published it. All right, you need to enclose the title in quotation marks because it hasn't been published. So you'll enclose the title in quotation marks. And then you're going to write DISS. And you're going to add the name of the degree granting university. In this case, it would be Beth Haven Baptist Seminary. And then you follow that by a comma and the year. So you write DISS. Where was I? Yeah, you add the DISS and then you add the name of the degree granting university and you follow that by a comma and the year. Any question about that one? Okay. No? Okay. All right, now you may want to cite a published dissertation like a book. So you have to add the pertinent dissertation information before the publication facts. So for example, if we wrote officers in the United States Army, okay, let's just abbreviate it a little bit, but officers in the United States Army, that's going to be underlined. Then you're going to write that DISS period, so we know that's a dissertation. And then the name of the university and the year. And then a period. And then the place comes next. Ann Arbor. And then that's the name of the university. And then your year. And then a period. And then there may also be numbers of that dissertation. If it's number 63412, then you would add that at the end. Okay. All right, now let's talk about periodicals. So a periodical is a publication that appears regularly at fixed intervals. So this could be newspapers or magazines, scholarly journals, or medical journals. All right, so when you want to cite an entry for a periodical, you're going to put the author's name first. So the author's name, and then you're going to put the title of the article. Do you think you underline it or put it in quotation marks? The quotation marks, yes. And then you put a period, and then you put the publication information, and then of course the period goes at the end. For example, it would be Wagner David, period. Heart disease and diet would go in quotations. And then the name of the medical journal, period. the year with another period, and then the pages with the other period at the end. All right, and then to cite a newspaper, give the name as it appears on the masthead. However, you're going to omit any introductory articles such as a and the. Any of those articles you will omit. And then if the city of publication is not included in the name of a locally published newspaper, then you want to add the city in square brackets. So, I mean, the first paper I wrote for was called the Winton Times. So, that was the name of the city. So in that case, you wouldn't need to put it in brackets. But, if the name of your newspaper is Home News, let's say, you don't know what city that's in, so you want to put that city in brackets. All right, and then for national papers such as US Today, you do not need to add the city because obviously it's for the whole United States. And then for magazines that are published weekly or bi-weekly, you need to give the complete date. To cite the date, you will begin with the day, and then you'll abbreviate the month. Just pretty much how you were doing in MLA Style, 13, let's say February, and then the year. So you're going to follow the date with a colon and the page numbers of the article. So right after the date, put a colon and then the pages of the article. If the article is not printed on consecutive pages, write only the first page number and a plus sign. Okay, so you know how newspapers sometimes start on page 2, but then they go to page 9. So you wouldn't need to put 2 and 9. You would just put 2 and then a plus sign. That tells the reader there are more pages to that article. And don't leave any intervening space. So between that 2 and that plus sign, just type it right next to one another. Don't leave any spaces. And don't give the volume and the issue numbers. Newspapers have volume and issue numbers, but you don't need to do that. And for example, we would put the author's name, Bazell Robert, with a period. Then his article is Science in quotation marks. Underline New Republic, and then put the date 15 March, which MAR period 1993, then the colon, and then this was on 13 to 14. These were consecutive pages, so that's why we put the 13 to 14. And notice that there's no P in there. Like in the other MLA style, we use P period or PP period. In this case, you're only going to put 13 through 14. And if no author's name is given for the article you are citing, then you have to begin the entry with the title. And again, ignore all of the articles such as a, and the. And especially when you're alphabetizing that entry, ignore the articles. All right, what about a signed editorial? For a signed editorial, you need to begin with the author's name, give the title, and add the label editorial. Make sure you do that so that your reader knows this is someone's opinion. And so they will know this is an editorial, this is someone's opinion. And then finish with the publication information. Now, there's a little bit difference between the editorial and then a letter to the editor. For the letter to the editor, you will make sure you label it letter to the editor. Or I'm sorry, just letter. Label it letter. All right, and then for a review, you want to give the reviewer's name and the title of the review. And then after the title of that, you want to write, remember as we learned this, REV. So you know that's a review. And then you put the title of the work, reviewed, a comma, and the word by and the name of the author. So you want to make sure you put in that word by and the name of the author. Okay, let's review a little bit. Let me see. All right, so let me start with Sean. Is it usually a simple matter to select a topic for a research paper? You think it's yes?
For me, it's easy, I guess.
Okay, who else thinks it's easy?
It took me like 2 weeks. I'm kidding.
That's the most
So
important
you're the
exception.
yeah, the exception. So it's usually pretty difficult because you have to think through it could be just too much information, so you have to narrow it down and it just can take time for all of that. So it's usually not an easy job to do that. And let me ask Justin, what kind of research are we primarily interested in when we're doing a research paper? Is it primary or secondary, usually for a research paper?
Secondary.
Yes, very good. Secondary, very, very good. And what is primary research, Ethan?
Primary research is when you're doing it yourself, right?
Mm-hmm. Very good. Like you're doing your own surveys. It's your own work, but we want to rely on the work of others when doing a research paper. Let's see. Let's go to Isaiah. So for the works cited page, do we underline or italicize the book titles when we're typing the research paper? Yes, italicize. If we were writing it out, handwritten, then we would underline. All right, Ryan, for a book, when we cite it on the works cited page, what do we type first?
The author,
Good. His last name or first name?
last
Good. And then a comma, first name. What comes next?
name.
Very good. Title of the book. Another period. And then what?
Would it be the date of publication?
Yes, publication information. And then the date. And then a period. And what is always last?
The page number.
Very good. And do we put a period at the end of that?
Only if you do 2 pages. No, I don't. Yes.
Yes, you always do. You're
So
right.
You use a double P if you're doing more than 1 page.
That's correct. Very good. Good job. Alrighty, and let's see. Let's go back to Sean. In MLA style, what is our working bibliography called?
Cited page.
Yes, works cited page. Very good. And then what is the standard way of doing research on the database? Through what 2 parts of the book or other material? So what is the main thing we're looking at a book, Justin? The 2 main things we need to know. Yeah, so for instance, we're going to research it on a database on a computer, let's say at the library.
Probably the title and the author's name.
Very good. The title and the author's name. Good. And let's go to Isaiah. Why does the working outline make it easier to write a research paper?
Because you have a list of all your sources to go back to and look at.
Okay, that's kind of the bibliography or the works cited, but what about your
Oh,
outline?
outline.
Yes,
To keep you like in track of what your next step is
very
for
good.
writing.
Very good. Very good. So it keeps you organized and on track. Very good. Should spelling be consistent throughout the research paper, Ryan?
Yes.
Yes, it should, except for when.
Is that like maybe like using foreign?
Okay, if you're using foreign words, you definitely want to spell it the foreign way, not American way.
Yeah.
But there's something else. Do you know what it is, Ethan?
When you're quoting someone.
Yes, when you're quoting someone. So if you're quoting exactly out of the Bible or exactly out of a book, even if it's an old book with old way of spelling things, you leave it the same. All right, and what, Justin, is a very important research material that I like besides the King James Bible?
No registers. American Dictionary of English Speaking Language, 1828.
Very good. Good job. 1828. All right, Sean, what do you think? Can plagiarism be unintentional? Yes, it can be. How can it be unintentional?
You may subconsciously write something down without paraphrasing.
Very good, good. And one thing, I was helping my husband grade a high school paper this week, and there were no citations anywhere. So all of it was just written and written. So that could lead me to believe that that was all of her work, when really there need to be citations for the different ideas so that you know this is not my work, this is someone else's. Good. All right, and what do we use in a series? Let's see, are we up to Ryan now?
Where are you?
No.
Ethan?
They just did,
I'll
they just
I'll
asked
take
John,
Ethan's
it's
question.
Isaiah.
I'll take Ethan's.
Oh, wait, I asked Justin a question, right? Did I? Yeah,
Should be Isaiah.
all right. All right, let me ask Isaiah.
Okay.
I'm sure he knows it anyways. What do we use in a series when items already have commas?
Already.
For instance, if I'm saying we went to New York City, New York, we went to Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, and we went to Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Is it a punctuation mark?
Yes,
Is it a semicolon?
yes, semicolon. Very good. Good job.
Extra points for pointing out the obvious. Much better.
All right. Ryan, what do you use around a parentheses within a parentheses?
Brackets.
Yes, use
Square
brackets. Bracket, the square brackets. Good job. All right, Ethan, for a sentence element that interrupts the train of thought, what two things can we use if it's interrupting the train of thought? For instance, say,
Isn't that where you use what the quotation marks? I think I put that in there.
well, let's say,
Like you're talking, so you're talking and then you have like a rabbit trail you in a head.
yes,
Very quickly. Wouldn't that be quotation mark?
not quotation mark.
No.
Sean?
Sure you do, Sean.
Parentheses and dashes.
Yes, parentheses and dashes. Good.
Yes.
Very good.
Another question.
You knew what you meant. You just called it something else, right?
Sure, yeah.
All right. Let's go back to Justin. So punctuation ensures clarity. What else does punctuation help?
Sentences up.
Okay, very good. So that means readability. So it helps the reader be able to read. Good. And then Sean, if you cite a title often in your research paper, can you shorten it after the first mention of it?
Yes.
Very good. Yes, you can. And Isaiah, which page should you take the title of a work from?
Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
So you have a book and you're going to take the title of it from somewhere. Where do you get the title?
From the, I don't know.
Do you know, Ryan?
Not a trick
Title page.
The title page.
Oh. I was overthinking. I was like, from the title. It's probably too hard. That's why I love AC.
All right, Ryan, what about numbers? So when I'm using numbers in a sentence, should I keep them in a consistent form or should I kind of change them up?
Consistent, so it depends on what you start with. If you start by spelling it, you're gonna spell it the whole way through. And then if you're gonna, unless it's percents, then you would write it. all
Yes, so
percents
there's going to
or
be certain
fractions.
times. Yes, very good. So they should be consistent. I think what they mean by consistent is do the consistent MLA style. So what you have learned about numbers, you should do that throughout your paper. Okay, Ethan, in general, do I underline or do I put foreign words in italics?
You know, that's a really excellent question.
Well, you have a 50-50 chance.
What else it was that you italicized? I'm gonna say italicized.
No. What is it, Justin?
I don't know.
Yes, we underline foreign words. Good job. All right, Sean, when you're using a name in the research paper, on the first mention, can I just use the last name? No, good. So on the first mention, what do we need?
First name, last name.
Very good. Okay, after that, we can, but not on the first mention. All right, Isaiah, if I set up my computer to do MLA style, will it put the page numbers in automatically for me unless it's Justin's computer?
In that case, yes.
It's okay, I'm sorry. It should.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, it should. But there will probably be exceptions out there, but it should. All right, and then Ryan, does a research paper need a title page? No, doesn't need a title page. Ethan, is a research paper in MLA style single spaced or double spaced? Very good, double spaced.
Shut up, Ryan.
All right, and Justin, when I'm omitting words or phrases, I'm just putting part of someone's quote. What do I use to show that I've omitted some part of that?
What's 3 dashes?
Okay, there are 3 of them, but what do we call those?
Ellipsis points.
Yes, they are points, ellipsis points. Very good. Good job. All right, and then Sean, if a quotation ending a sentence requires a parenthetical reference, where does the sentence period go? So it's ending, but it requires something in parentheses after it because say it's going to say Carter, page 29. Where are you going to put the period?
After
Yes, very good. And oh, I'm sorry. If it's a quotation, it actually goes before the ending quotation mark.
So it goes inside the quote.
Yes.
Okay, you know.
Sorry.
I was thinking parentheses.
That's okay. You're fine.
I
Okay.
answered the question I was thinking. of.
That's right. All right, Isaiah. So if I had something with a quotation and then a parenthesis, Smith 180, another parenthesis, and then I put the quotation, what does that tell the reader?
That it has the same 2 authors?
So
I don't think I understood
that's okay. So Smith
that.
180. Okay, so does that, where's the parentheses? Yeah. Ah, okay, so yeah, like that. What does that tell me?
That somebody quoted something. Oh, they quoted a different reference, a reference or something.
Okay, but who quoted this?
The writer, the author.
Yes, in this book by Smith, and what does this mean?
The page.
Very good, good job. And then to cite 2 or more books, Ryan, by the same authors, give the names in the first entry only, and then use what to stand for the exact same names as used previously.
Was it I or was it something else? So I know that
It's some kind of punctuation. Not a comma. What do you think, Ethan? No? What do you think, Justin? No.
colon.
Period.
No? What do you think?
Sorry, I wasn't thinking.
So you cited 2 or more books by the same authors, and you've given the author's name in the first entry. But then you're using the same authors again. And so instead of writing the authors' names out again, you can use this kinds of punctuation.
Would you use asterisk?
No? Do you know, Isaiah?
Hyphen.
Yes, he got it. You would use hyphens. Good job. All right, here's a good question for you, Ryan. Should you wait to draft your works cited page until the end of writing your research paper?
No, that's just one of the first things to do.
Right, why is it one of the first things?
So you can use all those references. and
Very
stuff.
good, very good,
Nothing but the works at page.
very good. Good job. All right, looks like you guys know a lot about MLA style. let me just go over one more thing and then, I'll be dismissed except for homework. So homework will be, so I want you to start writing, let's see, this will be your third point, but it's your fourth paragraph. So I want you to write that as homework, and you will, need to get that to me by Sunday night. Okay? Let's do a little bit about correct or incorrect citing. So, listen to this and see if you think this is a way that we could cite in our paper. According to Rebecca Hill, author of Today's Multitasking Teens, a recent study at Stanford University found that frequent switching between tasks directly influences a person's ability to evaluate and perform critical thinking. Do you think that's a good way to,
No.
to cite in the middle of your paper as you're writing? What do you think, Justin? Why not?
Very long.
Okay, it is long, but it's not a run-on, it's not. It has commas in between, I tried to stop in at those commas. And the reason why it can be used is because they've given really good information. They've said, according to Rebecca Hill, so I know who this was, where the source came from. They gave the name of the book or the article, and then they gave what the exact survey said. So that one is a good way. So you don't have to always do with the parentheses and the author and the page. If you say the person's name right out, you can just do it like that. All right, let's do the next one. Let's have Isaiah do this one. A study involving students at Ohio State University found that a group of students who were studied did not accomplish much academically, but they did feel better emotionally when multitasking. And then in parentheses, they put, media multitasking may not always be a bad thing, experts say. Do you think that's a good way to cite?
No.
Why not?
That last part that was in parentheses, I would have put a little bit sooner in that sentence.
Okay,
I'm trying to remember where, in the sentence. Maybe, yeah, it seems like a run-on. Would you move those parentheses before feel better emotionally?
you could do that, but what I wanna focus in on is the information they've given. Have they given us enough
No.
information? No, they didn't, because they've only given sort of a name of an article, but it's not even in parentheses. Of course, you can't see that part, but they haven't given a name or a page or a place to find it, so
Yeah.
that's not a good way to cite.
Yeah.
All right, let's do another one. Ethan, how about this one? The positive and negative consequences of multitasking on young people has not been truly proven because research is still being conducted. And then in parentheses, they put Hill.
Yeah, the sound right, but don't they need a page?
Exactly, so this would not be correct. Very good. They have to have more information. All right, Justin, what about this one? Chinese university researchers conducted a study in which they proved multitasking has positive effects because those studies did better during testing. Is that a good way to cite? Exactly, so that's an incomplete citation. Very good. All right, we'll just do one more. Let's do this one. Ryan, do this one. All right. People who attempt more than one task at a time will not be able to do either fully. And then in parentheses, they put www.red.org.
I would. I know, it's just one statement in a short sentence, so it's not like a long a long explanation for this one piece of information.
Okay,
It's rather short, concise. They tell you part of where they got it. So I'd say it's not poorly written.
very good. It doesn't give us all the information. So if I type in red org, how in the world am I gonna find this article? I mean, they might have thousands of articles. So they needed to give me a title of the article, they needed to give me an author. So these are things to be careful about when you're doing your citations in your paper. Make sure you're giving enough information. Who knows how many citations I wanna see on each paragraph? Isaiah?
At least three.
Yes, at least 3. So make sure you're doing that. I'm lenient now because you're just doing your rough drafts. But when I grade that final paper, every paragraph needs to have at least 3 citations and be done correctly as well. All right, very good. All right, last thing we're gonna do is, let me see here. Find. Oh, maybe I wrote it in here. Did it? No, I don't. Okay, so, we are going to do our reading. Yes, okay. Put it on this paper, sorry. So you will have that paragraph to do and then do some reading. Okay, yes, so, pages 135 to 146. Pages 135 to 146. All right, are there any questions? Yes,
The stuff that we went over today, is there something specifically that was meant for, or is that just for our overall, like, research papers?
it's overall
Okay.
research papers. Some of this might be on the final, but we'll try to review like we did today, try to review over the different facts so that you'll be ready
Okay.
for the final. But yeah. All right, you are dismissed then.
When does his class start?